12 asset protection questions the wealthy ask before it's too late. And that's exactly what this video is. And in the next 60 seconds, I'm going to give you one question that instantly tells you whether your current plan would hold up or fold like a cheap lawn chair the moment a real lawsuit hits. Because here's the problem. If you're a business owner, you own real estate, you have employees, tenants, partners, customers, or you sign personal guarantees, you don't need to be doing anything wrong to get pulled into a lawsuit. Sometimes the lawsuit is legitimate, and sometimes it's ridiculous. Sometimes it's just, we'll sue everyone and see who pays. But the painful part is always the same. The legal system doesn't care how hard you worked for what you built. Okay, now here's the promise. By the end of this video, you'll have a clean list of the exact questions high net worth people ask before they move money, title assets, or trust a guru on the internet, so you can spot weak plans, fix gaps, and avoid the most expensive asset protection mistake of all, waiting until the threat is already here. And the path is simple. I'm going to walk you through 12 questions in the same order we use when designing an actual asset protection plan for clients, starting with the question almost everybody skips, and this is the one that determines whether your plan is protection or just paperwork. I'm Kevin, the business guy, the CEO of the Lawyers Limited Law Firm, and our brand Asset Protection Planners. I've been in the asset protection field for 35 years, and for 30 years, I've been setting up Cook Islands Trusts. In fact, I believe our firm has set up more Cook Islands Trusts than any firm in the world. And I'm telling you for one reason, this video isn't theory, this is what survives contact with real lawsuits. Now, one quick note, this is educational and not legal advice for your specific situation. Asset protection is chess, not checkers, and your facts matter. Now let's start with a question that tells you if you're currently protected or just organized. Question 1, what am I protecting against specifically? Most people say lawsuits, so that's like saying we're preparing for the weather. Asset protection becomes real when you name the threats. Tenant injury claims, employee claims, contract disputes, partnership blowups, professional liability, car accidents with high damages, divorce exposure, personal guarantees, piercing the veil arguments, fraudulent transfer allegations, even when you didn't intend fraud. And here's the micro truth that wealthy people understand. You don't need one plan, you need layers matched to risk. Here's a composite case study for you. Mike owns 14 rental properties, a construction company, and a nice life. He tells me, I'm good, everything's in LLCs. Then I asked 2 questions. How many bank accounts? Any personal guarantees? He had 2 bank accounts total and personally guaranteed 3 loans. So the LLCs were like having 14 safes, all sharing the same key, hanging on the wall, labeled key. The fix wasn't more LLCs. The fix was structure, separation, and enforceability. And that leads us to question number 2, what attack can surface? Where can they reach? In other words, if somebody sues me, what can they actually reach? So do a quick inventory. Operating business value, real estate equity, liquid accounts, brokerage accounts, notes receivable, cash value, life insurance, boats, planes, toys, and trophies. Yes, visibility matters. Intellectual property, future income streams. And then ask, where is each asset titled today? Because asset protection is not about what you own, it's about how you own it. Here's a cliffhanger for you. In a minute, I'll give you the single most important ownership question, because if you get this one wrong, your protection can actually help the plaintiff's lawyer map your entire life. Okay, question number 3, does this structure reduce attention or attract it? The weird truth, some plans don't protect you, they broadcast you. If your structure is complicated but sloppy, intermingled funds, messy books, personal expenses paid through entities, no minutes, no separation, then complexity becomes a weapon against you. Lawyers love that. It turns into, Your Honor, this is all one big alter ego. So ask, do my entities have clean bookkeeping? Do they have their own bank accounts? Do they sign their own contracts? Are owner distributions documented? Are loans documented? Are payments between entities legitimate? Asset protection is like a bulletproof vest. If you leave it unbuckled, it looks tactical, but it won't perform under stress. Okay, now let's pay off the cliffhanger, the ownership question. If a lawyer looked at this, what story do I tell? So question number 4, if I were the opposing attorney, what would I attack first? So this is the backstory question, because lawyers don't just sue, they tell a story. This person is wealthy. This person is careless. This person moved assets after the problem started. This person uses shell games. So ask yourself, does my structure look normal and purpose-driven? Or does it look like a panic? Would a judge see business reasons or hiding? Now, high-quality plan is boringly defensible. And that brings us to the timing question, probably the most misunderstood concept in asset protection. Question number 5, when should this be done? So question 5, is this protection being set up while the waters are calm? So let me be blunt. Asset protection works best before trouble. If you wait until you're already being threatened, served, or you see it coming, now you're in the world of fraudulent transfer claims, injunction requests, court scrutiny, intent arguments, even if your intent was just to protect your family. This doesn't mean you're helpless. Once litigation starts, there are strategies, but your options narrow. Here's a composite case study. Sarah owned a medical practice and had $2.4 million in liquid assets. She got a demand letter, panicked, and tried to move everything in a weekend because a friend said just put it in a trust. That move became Exhibit A. The timing made it look like a confession. The better question is, what protection is already in place before the letter arrives? Which leads to a question wealthy people ask that most basic plans can't answer. Here's the cliffhanger. In about 3 minutes, I'm going to show you the difference between control and protection and why most people accidentally choose control and lose protection. Okay, question number 6. If there is a lawsuit, who has legal control and can that change fast? This is where a lot of domestic-only strategies disappoint people because control during peacetime is not the same as control during wartime. Here's how we explain it using a structure that we've built more times than anyone. The Cook Islands Trust with the Cook Islands LLC inside of it. When the waters are calm, the client is the manager of the LLC. You can direct investments, you can run the strategy, you can live your life. The trust is managed by our licensed bonded trustee company law firm in the Cook Islands. So if a lawsuit strikes and the real legal pressure shows up, the structure is designed so the trustee can step in only when needed, not because you want drama, but because you want separation from U.S. court reach at the moment it matters the most. So this is the key. Continuity of life when calm, a real firewall when the storm hits. This is also why sloppy, I'll just be the trustee of my own trust ideas are so dangerous. If you control everything on paper, then a court can argue great, then you can hand it over. So now we pay off that cliffhanger, control versus protection. Now control feels good, but protection holds up in court. Which brings us to question number 7. If a judge orders me to turn it over, can I legally comply? So this is where many people get uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it works. If your plan is, I control everything, I just promise not to give it up, then you don't have protection, you have a wish. High-grade asset protection is built around a simple concept. You can't be forced to do what you don't have the legal power to do. That's why enforceability, jurisdiction, trustee independence, and structure matters. If you're a US-based high net worth person, one of the best questions you can ask is, does my plan change the legal leverage of the other side, or does it just rearrange folders? Okay, so now let's talk about what most people think is asset protection, but it's really just an entity theater. Now, question number 8, is my LLC actually strong in my state? So that's the next question. If somebody gets a judgment, what remedy does state law give against my LLC interest? People throw around charging order protection like it's magic. The truth is, it depends. Ask, is my state strong or weak on creditor remedies? Can a creditor get a charging order, or can they foreclose on the membership interest? Can they get management rights? Is it a single member LLC, often treated differently? Now, do I have operating agreements that actually match what I'm doing? This is where high net worth people get surgical. They don't just get an LLC. They pick jurisdiction, structure, and operating discipline. Now, before we go further, if this kind of content helps you think like a strategist instead of a sitting duck, consider subscribing. Not just because I'm trying to win a popularity contest. Trust me, I'm not running for prom king, but because we put practical, high-level asset protection education for business owners and real estate investors who actually have something to lose. So check to see if you're subscribed right now, because I want to see you again. All right, on to the next question. Question number 9, what contracts can pierce my plan? 2 words, personal guarantee. If you personally guarantee a lease, a loan, a line of credit, or vendor obligations, your entity shield is now a speed bump, not a wall. Also watch for cross-collateralized loans, blanket liens, bad boy carve-outs, indemnity clauses, personal signatures when the entity should sign. We've seen highly sophisticated people build gorgeous structures and then sign one page that undoes the whole thing. A wealthy person asks, what am I signing this year that creates personal exposure? And they build the process around it, which brings us to cash, because if your money is sitting in the wrong place, you're basically labeling the jar, take me. So now we get to question number 10. If my accounts get frozen, what happens to my life and my business? This is not paranoia. This is planning. If my primary business account is restrained, can I make payroll? If a brokerage account is hit with a levy, do I have an alternate? Do I have diversification across institutions? Is there any privacy built into how these accounts appear? And then the big one, is my liquidity sitting in a place that is easy for U.S. courts to grab? So this is part of why international structures exist at all, not for drama, not for secrecy, but for jurisdictional leverage. So if you're thinking, okay, but I don't want to lose control, good, you shouldn't. That's why we designed the Cook Islands Trust plus Cook Islands LLC, so the client remains the manager when calm and the trustee steps only when needed. So now for a question most people never ask until they're in discovery, sweating through their shirt. Cliffhanger. In a moment, I'll give you the discovery question that separates real planners from internet advice. It's the one question that keeps your life from becoming a spreadsheet for the opposing attorney. So question number 11, if I'm forced to disclose everything, what will they learn and how easily? Discovery is where lawsuits become exhausting. So ask, do I have privacy in titling without doing anything shady? Are my properties visible under my personal name? Do I use land trusts appropriately for privacy where it fits? Do my entities create clean separation or a tangled web? Are transfers documented with business purpose? A judge doesn't hate asset protection. A judge hates game. So the goal is build something that is legal, purposeful, defensible, and difficult to exploit. Now here's where discovery questions pay off. If they subpoena my bank records, my entity documents, will it show consistent professional administration or a weekend craft project? If your plan is a weekend craft project, opposing counsel will treat you like you brought glitter to a courtroom and glitter and never comes out. Okay, now one final question. This is the one that ties everything together, and it's also where you can avoid wasting years and tens of thousands of dollars doing the wrong fix. So question number 12 is, do I have a system or just parts? The real plan answers what risks exist, personal plus business. What assets exist today and future? What structure holds operating businesses? What structure holds real estate equity? How liquidity is protected? What happens during a lawsuit? Who steps in and when? What is the maintenance protocol each year? And how does this integrate with estate planning? Because the wealthy don't buy asset protection. They adopt an asset protection lifestyle, a set of rules and habits that make them difficult to attack and expensive to pursue. So if you want a simple way to use those 12 questions today, here's your action steps. First of all, write down your top 3 risks. List your top 10 assets by value. And next to each asset, write who owns it, where, and under what agreement. And then run the 12 questions like a checklist. If you want a professional second set of eyes, soft suggestion here, not a sales pitch, you can visit us at assetprotectionplanners.com. Even if you never work with us, at least you'll know what a serious plan looks like and what questions to demand answers to. Okay, the real goal. The real goal isn't to be untouchable. The real goal is to be unattractive to sue, hard to pressure, and positioned to keep living your life, even if something hits. Because if you've built 1 million to 5 million to 20 million plus through business, real estate, investing, then you already know the truth. It's easier to build wealth than it is to keep it without a plan. I'm Kevin, the business guy, the CEO of the Lawyers Limited Law Firm and Asset Protection Planners. I've spent 35 years in this field and 30 years building Cook Islands trust structures that are designed to work when it counts. And remember, persistence wears down resistance, including the kind that shows up on a legal letterhead. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.